please state your name, job title, and your role in the project, how you were involved?
Well, my name is Tim Bradley. I'm a professor of ecology and evolutionary biology here at UC Irvine. And I've been involved in the community garden here on campus and helped advise some of the people involved in the project early on with issues related to how to set up the garden and how to organize it.
Great, thank you. I guess we can go into the first question. Why do you think community gardens are important?
Well, I think particularly in a university environment, they really can be part of the educational process for students. I think that we all tend to be estranged from the source of our food. We tend not to really understand where our food's coming from, how difficult it is to raise and transport and so forth. And so by being involved in community garden and growing your own food, I think it really internalizes the issue of food, where it comes from and how it gets to you. I think it's not only fun, but it's very educational. I think it's actually important to understand where our food comes from and how it's produced.
And how does sustainability fit into all of that?
Well, the sustainability aspect of it, of course, is that the food is produced close to you, so transportation is minimal, and with local water, local soils, and so forth. So it really causes you to identify with food production in your own area. There's a seasonality to food production. There's a seasonality of the way in which the plants are growing. So that all of that is really important. But again, and getting back to the educational aspect of it, by visualizing that and recognizing the way in which food ties into society, I think it has all kinds of implications in terms of social structure and social needs for food and for energy, for water. It's a really multi-dimensional educational process, I think, to have a garden and to be involved in it.
How do you think the Ants in Your Plants garden will affect UCI's view on sustainability and change students' perception of food?
Well, in many ways it already has. I mean, the interaction with the administration has been really very interesting to watch, where there was a lot of concern initially, and then I think now really quite a bit of excitement about the way in which it's gone forward. I think it positively influenced the way in which the administration has dealt with sustainability in terms of the food for the cafeterias in the dorms, and the students have really gotten behind it, and I think I'm really excited and inspired by the project.
Definitely.
I was going to ask,
Yeah, go ahead.
what do you think the toughest challenge to get a community garden on a university campus is?
Well, again, the issue of buy-in from the administration is really important. And so for some universities, the biggest problem might be the land, right? I mean, in some, you can imagine an urban campus is just not a lot of space. In other places, that might not be a problem, but again, it would be a question of buy-in. So I think the first thing is to demonstrate to the administration that the students are really genuinely interested in that this is a worthwhile project. I think that once you get past that barrier, then there's all kinds of technical things. Where are we going to get our dirt? How are we going to get the water over there, and so forth. But those are all those technical problems are perfectly soluble. The real problem is the social problem of getting a buy-in from the administration and being convinced that this is an ongoing, long-term project.
Okay, so that was basically that question.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess finally, let's see, is there anything else? Okay, we can ask 2 more questions. What aspect of the project are you the most proud of?
I'm really happy to see the students doing so much of this themselves. In other words, there's a lot of planning, a lot of negotiating, and then also technical questions, building the raised beds, figuring out what plants plants grow. And my impression is that this has been done very much as a student-driven project, and I think that's really terrific.
Thanks.
I just thought of another question.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
I was going to say, why do you think most universities currently don't have community gardens, and why we become so distant from our food?
Well, I think the reason most universities don't have them is that the administration is not about to take on something like that that's just an additional problem for them. Okay, it really has to come from the students or from the faculty. The administration has got plenty of other things that they need to do that are taking time and taking money and taking staff time. So it really needs to be something that's motivated by the people that are going to be using it. And they're going to have to convince the administration that that's the way to go. But I think that other universities absolutely could have such gardens, and I suppose in a few places where the growing season is mostly in the summer and the students are mostly gone during the summer, that could be a problem. But in a place like UCI where we have a long growing season, there's really nothing to keep us from doing this.
I have a question. How do you see the garden integrating into curriculum, more established curriculum here at UCI, getting it integrated into the classrooms, getting more professors, more faculty engaged to create that real educational, transferring of ideas type of community? What's the best way to go about doing something like that?
Well, I really see this as interacting in two areas. One is sort of the biological area. Okay, so just the fact that how do plants grow? What does it take to produce our food? I think that people have a very poor idea about the fact that energy flows from the sun through plants to us. And every activity that we engage in, whether it be studying or exercise, sports, dancing, all of that is energized by food that comes, and the energy from that comes from the sun. I mean, that's just a notion that is foreign to most people, but it is fundamental to the way in which life occurs. So that's an interesting biological aspect of this. The other interesting aspect of it is the sociological. And how is society organized? What's the role of food in our society? What's the role of energy and transport? And how do we get food to the people that need it? And how does food play into politics? How does food play into business? And those sociological and social aspects also are very important topics for university classes and so forth. So you could actually build a lot of different classes in sociology, in politics, and in biology around the garden and use it as part of the curriculum and part of the way in which students thinking about these issues could be forged.
That's what I hope to do. It's my next big project.
That sounds really great.
Now we have the garden. Now all we have to do is just, work on getting the school really engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So the final question, is there anything else you would like to say about the garden?
I really just to emphasize the fact what you just said that you'd like to do is you'd like to get it more integrated into the curriculum. And I think that it's great. I think it's a very good hobby for the students. It's a wonderful hobby where they can get outdoors, get some exercise, raise fresh food and so forth. But I think it really also has the opportunity to change the way in which students think about food and the central role of food in our society. And that would be a much more fundamental change, a more long-lasting change for the students if they really took that to heart and if that became part of the way in which the garden is used.
Very good.
Sounds good.